It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast. On this, the 16th day of July, 2025. First of all, first thing this morning, let me apologize for my voice and throat. I woke up yesterday morning in a coughing fit, sore throat, and it's been that way ever since. Of course, I started, taking care of my medicine when I have stuff like this come up, but it hasn't kicked it out yet. So I barely got the show done today. As you can tell, it's how gravelly I am. But anyway, we got the show done. All right, so today's show, of course, is brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scootaround, and by Chillie's Cruises. There wasn't a whole lot in the world of news, quite frankly. But there were some pretty stout stories in what little there was. The lead story today is a fire on Island Princess. A court in France blocks the mayor's orders. Crew detained and deported. A new volcanic eruption in Ireland. And the new Margarittaville at sea ship has been named. That and lots more here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, folks, is National Hot Dog Day. I can deal with that. I like hot dogs. This day in history, in 1969, a rocket was launched from the Kennedy Space Center. 4 days later, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to walk on the moon. Pilot Michael Collins remained in the orbit in the command module. And of course, Neil Armstrong made his famous golf shot. So that happened this day in history. I remember it well. I was on Marco Island, Florida that summer. And I had a very interesting lady that I was with that night. We stayed up and watched it on the television. If you're a podcast person, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the old fat guy. We do this 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If anything happens other days, I can do a pop-up show any day. Same thing when I'm traveling. Sometimes I get, my schedule gets screwed up by the travel schedule, but we try to get around it as best we can. Okay, so I had a bunch of stuff, a bunch of pictures and all from people that are traveling now in the family. I am not going to do that today because my voice is not likely to last. I'm just saying. So, that in mind, I'll be back with today's news after a quick break from one of our fine network sponsors. All right, we're going to start off today with Island Princess. Just hours after attending a muster drill on the first night of an 18-night voyage to Canada and Greenland, Passengers aboard Island Princess were rushing to their muster stations due to a fire. The Princess Cruises vessel had departed from New York City at 4 p.m. on Monday and less than 12 hours later experienced an emergency. At 6 p.m. Halifax time, a general alert sounded on the ship. A few minutes later, the captain announced there was a fire on deck 12. At 6:20 a.m., the captain said the crew members were putting the fire out with extinguishers and foam and that there was no concern for passengers. 15 minutes later, the captain told passengers that the fire was out, but another team was going to the area to make sure the fire was completely out. He again reiterated there was no concern for guests on the ship. At 7:10 a.m. local time, the all clear was given and crew was told to stand down. The ship was on time to arrive in Halifax this morning, the first post stop for the cruise. The captain said he was planning on giving more details at noon today. Island Princess is currently on an 18-night voyage to Greenland and Canada from New York City. The ship departed Monday and is scheduled to return on August the 1st. Port stops for the cruise includes Halifax, Sydney, St. John's, Nanortalik, Karkatuk, Piemut, and Nuuk. The cruise will also have 10 sea days. Okay, I was just looking over the chat room. Roger, you are absolutely correct. It was Alan Shepard with the golf shot. Absolutely correct. That's what I get for ad-libbing. But you're right on that one. What was that doing? Oh, yeah. We're doing.
Experience Alaska at an affordable rate. VR1 balconies are only $1,289, including taxes and port charges. MSC Poesia sells from Seattle, May 25th, 2026. Book now. Call 434-258-9264 or go to bit.ly/PoesiaAlaska1.
Several international cruise members working aboard two ships operated by Victory Cruise Lines were recently removed from vessels by U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents. As many as 13 crew from the cruise lines Victory 1 and Victory 2, both small ships with a capacity for only 180 guests, were detained and apparently deported by CPB officials during port calls at U.S. destinations. The ships were currently sailing summer season Great Lakes voyages between Chicago and Toronto. The removal of the crew members occurred during port calls to Detroit. The affected crew members were largely employed in the ship's bookkeeping department. None of the detained crew members were provided with access to legal counsel before they were detained and deported. CPB has not confirmed any arrests or detainment of the cruise ship members. The action apparently took place on July the 9th and July the 11th of this year. Now, there seems to be some controversy and some misinformation concerning this. This was not a raid by ICE agents. These were agents involved in the child pornography ring. A court in France has dealt a big blow to the new cruise ship restrictions imposed in the French city of Nice. The administrative court of Nice blocked a recent decree issued by Mayor of Nice Christian Estrosi. The mayor had imposed cruise ship restrictions for vessels docking in the city and anchoring offshore. Estrozzi capped the ships of no more than 450 guests docking at the port of Nice. Additionally, ships with more than 2,500 passengers were not permitted to anchor in the bay of nearby Villefranche-sur-Mer. However, the court ruled that the city of Nice and the mayor don't have jurisdiction to issue the ordinance. The court concluded Estrozzi didn't have the authority. That falls to the Prefet, which is the chief region administrator of the Alpes Maritimes region, the court said in its statement. Tourists and locals have been evacuated on Iceland's Reykjanes Peninsula after the 12th volcanic eruption in the region since 2021. The eruption began around 4 a.m. following an intense seismic swarm of the Reykjanes Peninsula southwest of the capital, Reykjavik. Magma pushed through the Earth's crust, opening a fissure near Sandnúkar crater, thought to be between 700 and 1,000 meters long, the Icelandic Meteorological Office has said. It belched columns of smoke in the air, and dramatic lava flows can be seen on live videos of the eruption. It comes after an eruption in April this year that breached protective barriers near the fishing town of Grindavik, causing emergency services to evacuate residents and tourists staying at the Blue Laguna Spa. Are you heading to Las Vegas this summer or fall? Book a mobility scooter or wheelchair rental by August 31st and get discounts in advance. You can call Scoot Around at 888-441-7575 or reserve online and explore the Vegas Strip with ease. Las Vegas mobility rentals are 15% off until August 31st. Call Scoot Around 888-441-7575 or contact me at 434-258-9264. Margarittaville at Sea, the cruise brand modeled on Jimmy Buffett's concept of laid-back Caribbean vibes, unveiled details about the soon-to-be third ship in the fleet, including the name Margarittaville Beachcomber. Beachcomber is substantially larger than the existing ships. She accommodates 3,450 guests compared to the 1,680 guests on Margarittaville at Sea Paradise and 2,650 guests on Margarittaville at Sea Islander. At this point, no home port nor start date has been given for the Beachcomber. Please beware, folks, that Allianz has implemented a change to their cancellation policy effective March 28, 2024. The key changes in the policies are residents from Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Montana, South Carolina, and Indiana no longer have the option to cancel any time before departure. All states except New York are now subject to a 15-day cancellation window. Only New York residents can still cancel anytime. If you're interested in Allianz travel insurance or the brilliant annual policies from Allianz, give me a call, 434-258-9264. We'll take care of your travel insurance before your next trip. And that wraps up the news portion of today's show. My voice has made it thus far. It's cracking a little. All right, let's see who's in the chat room. All right. Jenna Chu says, hey, good morning. Good morning to you. I love your lives so much, Chillie's Cruises. Well, thank you very much. Scott Mary asked, what's going on here? This is a 3 times a week travel and cruise industry news podcast where we talk about travel and cruises, all facets therein. And this is news for today in those industries. Steve's with us from Kentucky, says good morning to everybody. There's Roger down in Jacksonville, Gretchen out in Ohio, Katie up on Martha's Vineyard in New York. Bob Stamper's with us. Good morning, Bob. Mike's with us on the other side of the pond. There's Roger. I saw that. Roger says, Mr. Know-It-All. It was Alan Shepard who did the golf shot. Hot Air Tom says, hello, everyone. Mike says, you're right, Roger. Yes, indeed, he was right. Apollo 14 astronaut Ed Mitchell found one on imaging specialist, found the second 50 years later. Okay. Mike says, you're right, Roger. Yes. Yes, I was wrong. I admit that. Attacker says, hi, please can you support us with school fees over here in Africa, in Gambia, in West Africa? Todd's with us. Good morning, Todd. So can you please help us? I'm sorry, Attacker. We don't allow any begging on this show. If the people want to do something on their own, that's fine. But this is not the venue for you to be requesting funds. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Again, my apologies for losing my voice. Hopefully by Friday, I'll have it back. It's pretty miserable, I'll tell you that. All right, that's going to wrap me up for today. As always, folks, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget, smash that thumbs up button. That'll help us out a bunch. All right, guys. I'll see you Friday if I don't see you before then. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.